Some of the worst money decisions ever made were made by brilliant people. Doctors, engineers, lawyers, people who are clearly, measurably smart, routinely do things with money that a child could tell them are foolish. They panic sell at the bottom. They chase obvious scams. They stay in bad deals for years. Why? Because money decisions aren't made with the smart, logical part of your brain. They're hijacked by ancient mental shortcuts that were useful 100,000 years ago and are actively harmful in a modern economy. Intelligence doesn't protect you from these glitches. In some cases, it makes them worse, because smart people are better at inventing convincing reasons for their own bad instincts. Today, I'll walk you through the 5 mental glitches that make smart people dumb with money, and more usefully, exactly how to disarm each one. Because you can't switch these instincts off. But once you can name them, you can catch them in the act. And catching one of these in yourself, even once, can be worth more than years of financial advice. I'm Mr. Finance. I put real numbers and real psychology on the money moves everyone makes but nobody examines. If that's your kind of thing, subscribing takes one tap. Now, glitch 1. The first glitch is the most powerful one, and it distorts nearly every money decision you make. It's called loss aversion, and it means this: losing money hurts about twice as much as gaining the same amount feels good. Think about that imbalance. Finding $100 is nice. Losing $100 feels awful, far worse than the good feeling of finding it. Your brain treats a loss as a threat to survival because for most of human history, losing resources could literally kill you. That ancient wiring is still running the controls. Here's how it makes smart people dumb. Because losses hurt so much, people do almost anything to avoid feeling a loss, even when accepting it would be the smart move. They hold a losing investment for years, refusing to sell, because selling means admitting the loss is real. They pull all their money out of the market the moment it drops, locking in a loss, because watching the numbers fall is unbearable. In both cases, the fear of the pain of loss drives a decision that costs them far more than the loss itself. The disarm. Separate the feeling from the decision. When you notice yourself desperate to avoid a loss, refusing to sell something falling, or panicking to sell something dipping, pause and ask the cold question: if I had this money in cash right now, would I make this exact choice? That question strips away the loss aversion fog and shows you the actual decision. The pain of loss is real, but it is a terrible advisor. Name it, feel it, and then decide with the logical part of your brain instead of the frightened one. Just knowing losses hurt double helps you distrust the panic when it comes. The second glitch explains why saving is so hard, even for people who fully understand they should. It's called present bias, and it means your brain treats your future self almost like a stranger. The reward you can have right now, the dinner, the gadget, the trip, feels vivid and real. The reward of saving that money for a version of you 30 years from now feels abstract and distant, like doing a favor for someone you've never met. So the present self wins again and again, even when everyone involved knows the future self will pay the price. This isn't stupidity. It's your brain valuing the concrete now over the fuzzy later, a shortcut that made sense when the future was genuinely uncertain and survival was day to day. Smart people fall for this constantly. They can explain compound interest perfectly and still not save, because understanding the math doesn't make the future feel real. Knowledge and behavior live in different parts of the brain. The disarm is beautiful because it uses the glitch against itself. Remove the decision from the present moment entirely. Automate your saving and investing so it happens the instant your paycheck lands, before present you ever sees the money. You're not relying on willpower in the moment. You're making the choice once, in a calm moment, and letting automation carry it out every time. This is why pay yourself first automatically is the single most effective money habit in existence. It quietly defeats present bias by never giving it a vote. The future self finally gets funded because the present self never gets to touch the money. The third glitch is social, and it's turbocharged by the modern world. Humans don't judge their wealth in absolute terms. We judge it by comparison to the people around us. You can feel rich or poor at the exact same income depending entirely on who you're standing next to. This made sense in a small tribe, where your standing relative to the group mattered for survival and mating. But today it's a trap because you're no longer comparing yourself to a village of 30 people. Through social media, you're comparing yourself to the most successful, most carefully curated moments of millions of people, and worse, to their spending, not their savings. You see the car, the vacation, the kitchen. You never see the debt, the stress, or the empty retirement account behind them. So smart people spend money they don't have, to buy things they don't need, to signal a status to people they don't even like, because the comparison instinct is screaming that they're falling behind. It's called lifestyle competition, and it's one of the biggest destroyers of wealth, precisely because it targets people who are otherwise doing well. The more you earn, the fancier the circle, and the fancier the things you feel you must match. The disarm. Get conscious about your comparison set and remember that you are comparing your reality to other people's highlight reels. The person with the flashier lifestyle is very often the person with less actual wealth, because the money went to the visible things instead of the invisible portfolio. True wealth is usually silent. Decide deliberately that the scoreboard you care about is your own net worth over time, not the appearance of your neighbors. Wealth you can see is often wealth someone is losing. Wealth you can't see is often the real thing. The fourth glitch keeps smart people trapped in decisions they know are bad. It's called the sunk cost fallacy, and it means we let money we've already spent, which we can never get back, dictate what we do next. Here's the trap in action. Someone stays in a failing investment because they've already lost too much to sell now. Someone keeps pouring money into a car that constantly breaks down because they've already put so much into repairs. Someone finishes a degree they no longer want because they've already spent 3 years on it. In every case, the money or time is already gone. It's a sunk cost, and it should have zero bearing on the smart next move. But the brain refuses to accept the loss, so it keeps feeding the mistake to avoid admitting it was one. Intelligence makes this worse, not better, because smart people are exceptionally good at constructing logical-sounding justifications for continuing. They can argue themselves into anything. The very reasoning power that helps them in other areas becomes a machine for rationalizing a decision their ego doesn't want to reverse. The disarm is a single reframing question. Knowing everything I know now, if I were starting fresh today, would I make this choice? If the answer is no, the money you already spent is irrelevant. Walking away is the smart move, no matter how much is behind you. The past spending is gone either way. The only question is what's best from here forward. Sunk costs are a receipt, not a strategy. Read the receipt, then decide as if it doesn't exist. The fifth glitch is the ego one, and it hits capable people hardest of all. It's called overconfidence, and it means we systematically overestimate our own ability to predict and control uncertain things, especially things involving money and markets. Most people rate themselves above average at driving, at judging character, and dangerously at picking investments. But markets are one of the most competitive, unpredictable arenas on Earth, where even full-time professionals mostly fail to beat a simple index. The belief that you, on a lunch break, can consistently outguess that machine is overconfidence in its purest form. And smart people are the most vulnerable because their intelligence in one domain convinces them it transfers to everything, including areas ruled by chance. This is why brilliant people blow up trading accounts, pour money into things they just know will win, and ignore the boring, proven approach because it feels beneath their intelligence. Overconfidence whispers that the simple path is for other, lesser people, that you can do better. Usually, you can't, and the attempt is expensive. The disarm is humility, engineered into your system. Accept that you cannot reliably predict markets, not because you're not smart, but because almost nobody can, and choose a strategy that doesn't require you to. Broad index funds, automatic investing, and leaving it alone are powerful precisely because they don't depend on you being right about the future. The smartest money move is often admitting the limits of your own prediction and building a plan that works even when you're wrong. In investing, humility outperforms genius. The people who quietly win are usually the ones who stopped believing they were special. Here's the thing about these glitches. They rarely attack one at a time. Watch how they gang up in a single, very common moment, a market crash. Picture a genuinely smart person, call it a successful professional with a solid income. The market drops 30%. Their investments are down badly on paper. Now the gremlins arrive together. Loss aversion screams that the pain is unbearable and they must make it stop. Overconfidence whispers that they can see this is different, that this crash will keep falling, that they'll cleverly get back in at the bottom. And comparison chimes in. A loud voice online is bragging about having sold everything last week. Three ancient instincts, all pushing the same button: sell. So they sell at close to the bottom, turning a temporary paper loss into a permanent real one. Then, because getting back in means admitting they were wrong, sunk cost and ego now joining the pile, they stay in cash and miss the recovery entirely. One emotional moment, several glitches, a mistake that can cost years of growth, and every step of it felt rational, because a smart brain narrated a convincing story the whole way down. That's the real danger. These glitches don't feel like glitches from the inside. They feel like clear thinking, which is exactly why the defense can't be try to think clearly in the moment. The defense has to be a system you set up before the moment, when you're calm, automated investing, a diversified plan you've pre-committed to, and a simple rule that you do not sell in a panic. Decide once in daylight, so the gremlins have nothing to grab when the storm hits. Look at what connects all five: loss aversion, present bias, comparison, sunk cost, overconfidence. Every one of them is an ancient instinct that once helped humans survive and now quietly sabotages them in a modern economy. None of them are signs of stupidity. They're standard issue human wiring running in all of us, all the time. Which means the goal was never to be smart enough to avoid them. Smart people prove that doesn't work. The goal is to build systems that don't rely on you overriding your own brain in the heat of the moment. Automate your saving, choose strategies that don't need predictions, and ask yourself the cold reframing questions when a big money decision has an emotional charge to it. You can't delete the glitches. You can stop handing them the controls. Smart people make dumb money decisions because money isn't a math problem to the brain. It's an emotional one, run by instincts older than money itself. Loss feels double. The future feels fake. Everyone else looks richer. Quitting feels like failing, and we all think we're the exception. Naming those five is how you finally see them coming. I won't pretend you can think your way out of your own wiring. The whole point is that you can't, and the smartest people are proof. But you can outsmart the wiring with systems. Automate the saving, diversify away the guessing, and pause when a decision feels charged. Do that, and your ordinary human brain quietly starts making extraordinary financial decisions, not by being smarter, but by getting out of its own way. I'm Mr. Finance. Subscribe if you want more of this, the psychology behind the numbers, no hype. And tell me in the comments, which of these five glitches do you catch yourself in the most? The loss panic, the present self-spending, the comparison trap, the sunk cost, or the overconfidence? Be honest. I read every single one.